What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another one. If you're new to the channel, I am Gold Pony. I do new car, truck, SUV reviews on YouTube, and today we're in the brand new 2025 Cadillac Optiq, courtesy of Faulkner Cadillac in Mechanicsburg, PA. For more information on their inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we're in this one because this may very well be the best compact luxury EV SUV out there right now. Get a dual motor all-wheel drive setup that comes standard. In case you're curious, this one's actually 6 inches shorter than the Lyriq. It's less expensive than the Lyriq as well. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one, from acceleration to braking, steering feel, ride quality, sound system, exhaust clip, all that fun stuff. So having said all of that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are a few different configurations for the 2025 Optiq. First one being the luxury one, starting at $54,390. Luxury two, which is the one we are in today, starting at $56,590. Sport one for $54,990, and Sport two for $57,090. And so regardless of the configuration that you go with, the power plant is going to be the same. Powering the Optiq is dual electric motors, putting out 300 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque, that power being sent to all four wheels. 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 5.9 seconds. Max range for this one, 302 miles, and Cadillac says it can charge up to 79 miles in only 10 minutes using, of course, DC fast charging. So before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Optiq, I do want to mention to you guys the drive modes. So drive mode adjustments can be made through the center infotainment screen here, but drive modes will include Tour, Snow and Ice, Sport, and My Mode, adjusting things like the throttle response, the steering sensitivity, and the braking responsiveness as well. So now I've got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find a straightaway. Let's put the acceleration here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get our new 2025 Cadillac Optiq here up to speed. All right, got our straightaway here in 3, 2, 1, go! Whoa! Wow. All right, for one, the headrest, they're super comfortable. I didn't expect that, but also love electric car accelerations because that was instantaneous. There was no kind of delay whatsoever. So yeah, that's plenty of acceleration to merge onto any highway. That was fun, like instantaneous acceleration, instant torque. You gotta love that. And it was quiet as stink too. I also love that. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 17-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 17-inch solid rear discs. You also, of course, have regenerative braking. And actually, the Optiq does give you a full one-pedal drive mode as well. So not all electric vehicles do that. So I always like to emphasize that because the ones that do are definitely cooler. And there is also this one paddle shifter here on the left that I have found that you don't have to hit the brakes. You can actually just hit that, and it's like braking using the paddle shifter, which is kind of interesting. So anyways, that's new for me, but overall braking feel is perfectly fine. Definitely didn't have any issues there. It kind of leans on the firmer side of things, which I personally am a fan of, so I like that. But then touching on suspension and handling, you will find an independent front and rear suspension, and Cadillac claims it is tuned for a smoother ride along with optimum handling as well. So speaking of, as far as ride quality goes, it's been perfectly fine in my short little test drive here today, so I don't have any issues there. As far as steering feel goes, it's weighted on the heavier side of things, which I always appreciate because instantly points you in the direction that you want to go, especially on some back roads like we're on right now. So I like that. As far as cabin noise goes, we're going 28 miles per hour right now. I'll let you guys be the judge through my Rode mic, but it is insanely quiet in this thing, as you typically do find in most electric vehicles. Part of the reason why it is insanely quiet is because you do have an acoustic laminated front windshield, and you also have acoustic laminated front door glass as well. And that's something I always look for, especially in EV cars, because not all of them have that, again, but the Optiq does. That's just about as serene as a cabin you can possibly get. That's typically what like Mercedes-Benz gives you and things like that. So I love it. It's a very serene cabin in here. Touching on rear visibility, now that's one thing that you might have to get used to, and I'm sure you will get used to it, but because of the shape of the Optiq, the rear visibility, looking out my rear view mirror, it's not gonna be the most visibility out there, but it's kind of like a Nissan 370Z or a Chevy Camaro with rear visibility. It's just something that you get used to. So you shouldn't have any issues with that over time. But in addition to that, when I flip my rear view mirror, you also have a rear camera mirror as well. So that's crystal clear, by the way, super clear. So I'm a huge fan of that. That looks really good. Also, rain sensing windshield wipers do come standard on the Optiq as well. So whenever this thing detects any kind of mist or rainfall, it's gonna automatically turn on those for you. So one less thing you gotta worry about there. And I am also looking at what is perhaps the biggest head-up display I've ever seen. Like the miles per hour right now, it's so chunky, for lack of a better word. Usually it's like this tiny little projection up on your windshield, and with sunglasses you can't see it either, but with this one, this is probably the first head-up display I can actually see with my sunglasses still on, which is incredible because usually you can't. You have to pull your sunglasses up to actually see it. But one of the brightest, if not the brightest head-up display, and the largest head-up display I think I've ever experienced as well. So huge fan of that with forward visibility there. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2025 Cadillac Optiq. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2025 Cadillac Optiq, finished in black raven, in case you were curious of our exact exterior color name that we have with us here on this one. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Optiq is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 3, indicating that the Optiq is built and assembled in Mexico, actually, in case you were curious. But starting up front, you do have an illuminated front grille and emblem. That is going to look so sweet at night. It is daytime right now, so I'm not sure how that's going to turn out now, but at night that's going to look amazing. LED headlights with LED daytime running lights do come standard. You get slimline vertical headlights for the luxury 2 and sport 2 trim levels. Also LED front cornering lamps as well. You gotta love those because that essentially means when you're going around a bend at night, the headlights are going to swivel based on the direction of your steering angle, better help illuminating what is around that bend. So that's really a safety feature in itself. You also have chrome or gloss black accents up front there as well. And in case you were curious about the ground clearance, that is going to come in at 6 inches even. So in case you wanted to do that answer, but that pretty much rounds out the front end. This thing looks so dang good up front and unique. It looks like nothing else on the road. But let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, you're either going to find chrome or gloss black upper window trim. And essentially when I'm saying that, it's dependent upon whether you go with one of the luxury trims or the sport trims, basically. But rear privacy glass does come standard. You will find power adjustable heated side mirrors. They will be power folding. You got a driver's side auto dimming mirror as well. That's rare, even among luxury brands. You get integrated turn signals. You also get puddle lights to go along with all of that. Illuminated door handles. That's going to look good at night yet again. Then taking a look down at the wheel setup, 20-inch alloys with aero inserts for the luxury trims, and then 20-inch dark painted alloys with aero inserts for the sport trim levels. But that pretty much rounds out the side profile. Let's now go ahead and make our way to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of this one, all the way to the top, there is a body colored shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light, and the integrated brake light is kind of like nothing else I've ever seen. Usually it's horizontal across the rear spoiler, but it's just kind of like a vertical brake light up there. So you also have a second rear spoiler here, it looks like, integrated into the rear liftgate there. That looks good as well. But you know, it's interesting. I actually don't see a rear window wiper on this one, so I'm not sure you would need it, but typically with SUVs you get it, so I don't know, just something different. But LED taillights, they definitely look good back there. And again, you're going to find either chrome or gloss black accents on the rear bumper. You guys can see the chrome accents kind of underneath the taillights there. But anyways, typically at this point I do an exhaust clip, but it's an EV, so none of that. Let's go ahead and make our way to the interior. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Optiq, when it comes to opening that rear liftgate, there is a button on the key fob that you press twice. There's also a button by the driver's side left knee then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 26 cubic feet even. If that was not enough space, of course, the rear seats do fold down, bumping that up to 57 cubic feet then. There is LED cargo lighting back there. You have some chrome-plated tie-down anchors as well. A couple of grocery bag hooks, and then if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, we'll actually find a good bit of in-floor storage, which most likely is going to be used to put your charging cables. That's where you're going to go ahead and put them. And in case you were curious if there is a frunk, there is not. I'll show that to you guys real quick. It's a bunch of other stuff basically, but I will say the hood is probably the smoothest closing hood that I've ever experienced. I don't know if that means anything to anybody, but it's interesting. But then making our way up to the rear legroom, that comes in at 37.8 inches. For reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the back seats there. Rear center armrest with cup holders, of course, does come standard. Got rear ventilation back there, USB charging ports. There's actually a 120 volt power outlet back there as well, which is kind of crazy. And rear heated seats are going to be available. We got those with us here today. I think the only thing missing for me in the rear seats was some rear window sunshades. I think that would have been pretty darn cool. But I will say I do love the heated rear seats back there. But then making our way up to the front seats, 8-way power driver seat does come standard. 6-way power adjustable passenger seat coming standard. Leatherette seating, massaging seats. Yes, they come standard on this thing. That's absolutely insane. Memory settings for up to 2 different drivers and 2 different passengers as well. Sometimes it's only for the driver, but you do have the passenger side memory settings as well. But by the way, to actually adjust your seating, it's set up exactly the way Mercedes sets it up, which is everything is found on the door as opposed to the seat itself. So keep that in mind. And then we do have heated and ventilated front seats up here as well. Overall, as far as seat comfort goes, it was perfectly fine in my short little test drive here today. I didn't have any issues there. But so then making our way to the steering wheel, it is tilt and telescoping. It is going to be heated as well. And the grips are definitely on the thicker side of things. So definitely a big fan of the steering wheel. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key here. Got your Cadillac logo on the one side. When you flip it over, lock, unlock the button to pop the rear lift gate, and the ×2 button, that is going to be your remote start, which does come standard. You gotta love that. But in the end, it is all keyless entry with there's not even a push button start. You essentially just put your foot on the brake and shift it into gear. So it's that simple. But once started up, when it comes to the gauges, this is all part of a 33-inch diagonal LED display. So the gauges are on your left, the infotainment screen's on your right, but it's all 33 inches if you add it all up. So for a gauge cluster, it's pretty simplistic, I'll put it that way. When you change the drive mode, it basically adjusts the font really of the miles per hour. Like if you put it in sport, it's going to be italicized, and if you put it back in just tour driving mode, it's going to be like a regular digital readout. But really what you're looking at when you're driving the Optiq is the head-up display anyway. So I think the only thing I'm probably looking down for on the gauge cluster for this thing is the how many miles you have left until you run out of range basically. But other than that, gauge cluster is fine. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. You're going to find a full glass roof that does come standard. It goes all the way into the back. LED interior lighting does come standard. You got universal home remote for all trim levels across the board. That's for up to 3 different garage doors, of course. Dual zone climate control coming standard. You get 126 colors of ambient lighting. I think that's probably the most. Typically you find 64 on the really good vehicles for ambient lighting, but 124 color or 126 colors, that's absolutely ridiculous. Let me go into ambient lighting real quick. And there's actually so much different customizations you could do with the ambient lighting as well. I just turned up the brightness, but there's different styles. There's different themes where you could like put some of it one color and some of it another color. Like there's so much customization with the ambient lighting, more so I think that I've ever seen. So that is pretty darn cool as well. Big fan of that. You do have a wireless phone charger as well. That's kind of located just in front of the center armrest here, right behind the cup holders. So that is where that is. Really nice material inside the center armrest, by the way. And you got LED lighting within the center armrest too. That's fancy. And 2 USB charging ports too. A lot of recycled materials in this as well. So just below the cup holders, there's a good bit of storage there. So probably put your purse there, something like that. Just up top of that, even more storage there as well. But even on the doors, that same material feels like a recycled material. I like that. Also, this black and white theme, kind of texturized finish on the doors. I am a big fan of that. And that kind of continues surrounding the cup holders as well. And a very nice silver finish surrounding the cup holders too. Nice texturized design to that. So it's all the attention to detail. This white finish just below the infotainment screen that's carried onto the doors. The aluminum speaker covers, huge fan of that too. And we'll be testing out that sound system in a little bit here. But even the grab handle on the passenger side up front here, that's made of leather. And I don't think I've ever seen aluminum speaker covers located kind of on the roof of a vehicle before. Like, this is a lot of firsts for me. And I driven the Escalade back in the day, but it's been a while. But even the little knobs to adjust the climate control direction, they're all finished in a silver texturized finish. So it's all about the attention to detail, and Cadillac did a wonderful job with all the attention to detail in this thing. So Huge fan of that. Now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen, because the tech on the Optiq, of course, is absolutely amazing. So again, part of the 33-inch digital display, you get Bluetooth and audio streaming, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, factory navigation system up there as well. You can check out your drive modes as I was doing earlier. You can check out your charging statistics. So it'll tell you if you charge to 80% in our case, it's going to give you 244 miles of range. So I like seeing that. You can check out your ambient lighting settings up there. You can check out podcasts, apparently, your climate control information, and of course your radio information as well. And so you guys know we always have to test out the sound system. I'm super excited for this one. This is a 19 speaker AKG sound system. That is so many speakers. So let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. That is absolutely ridiculous in the best way possible. That is insane. I can feel the bass coming out of the back of my seat and the bottom of my seat as well. Like, the bass is insane. The clarity was pristine. Like, that's some of the best clarity I've ever experienced. I'm not sure it gets a heck of a lot better. And I've tested probably 1,000 sound systems at this point, to be quite honest, in vehicles. That's incredible. That's a really, really good sound system for this thing. And 19 speakers is definitely overkill. That's probably the most, if not close to the most speakers I've ever seen in a vehicle. But anyways, last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen is when you do put the Optiq in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. You also get the overhead view as well, giving you that bird's eye view, letting you know what is completely all around you. Very high definition camera as well, I'll say that, but that, as always, is going to lead us into safety. And so let me start by saying this one is not yet rated by IIHS. I typically like to mention that first, but anyways, front side curtain airbags do come standard. You get driver and passenger knee airbags up front as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, forward collision alert. There's a teen driver mode, which prevents your teen driver from turning off the safety features. In the event that they were to do that, it's going to be logged in the system so you know about it. Blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, traffic sign recognition, driver attention assist, reverse automatic braking, rear pedestrian alert, and automatic emergency braking then as well. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here of the Optiq, excellent interior quality. That's one of the first things I noticed when I got in this one. It's like nothing else that I've really driven in a while. I love all the texturized finishes, like found in the doors and the little knobs for the climate control directions and things like that. Big fan of that. Excellent sound system, ridiculous sound system. I love it. If you're into music, you gotta check this thing out, because the sound system on this alone is almost worth it, because it's ridiculous. Very unique look as well. So it's like nothing else on the road, maybe besides the Lyriq. I think the Lyriq looks pretty similar to the Optiq, but other than that, it's a pretty unique look out there. You're gonna get some looks. I think the only thing that I would change to make the Optiq better would be to add a little bit more range, but even at this point, the range is acceptable. It's just not as good as some of the competitors. Like, let's say Mercedes EQS goes 481 miles when it was tested. So that's absolutely ridiculous. I want to see electric cars right around 600 miles, because that's what a lot of the non-electric cars can do. So like the Sonata Hybrid, I know that's not the competition to this, but Sonata Hybrid will do 680 miles. And maybe when the, I think they're called solid state batteries come out, maybe this will do the same thing. I don't know, but I just want to see a bigger range. That's all I'm saying. But let me know what you guys think of the new Optiq in the comments section below. That's about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow me on social media somewhere on the screen. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews. That is what we do here for 11 years now on the channel. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know. I will see you guys all in the next video. Stay gold.